Hello, I'm Lise-Lotte. Welcome to my garden. I've got Lily here beside me and lots of birds around, as you'll probably hear. Today I want to talk about a few things that I do to avoid the overwhelm of basically being a creative person, actually, of my own creativity and projects that you can get caught up in. And sometimes when you have too many things going on, I don't know if you have had this experience, but I think it's really easy to get caught up in there's so much, I could do so many things, and then you don't do anything. So I'm here to talk about that and kind of how you can avoid a bit of that overwhelm so that you can get on with creating wonderful, beautiful things that you find interesting and that you want to make and you feel inspired to make, and that you get all of those really healthy, good feelings because you're making, because that's the whole point of it. That's the whole reason that I'm here to talk about that, is that I believe that women who are connected through creativity are having all of these wonderful experiences that are meaningful and joyful, and that's what I want for you. So let's dive in. So the first thing that I do is that I think about the notion that for everything there is a season. And in some ways it's kind of a good reminder because it's easy for me in this way. One way, here it is. I live on a little urban flower farm. So of course I'm completely into the season of whatever we're at. If we're planting a bunch of seeds, if we're starting our corms and all that kind of stuff. Now we're getting into more harvesting of the flowers and continuing to seed and so on. So, but that kind of can give me, and that did give me 3 years ago, the idea that I don't need to be thinking that I'm doing all of the creative things all at once, all year, all through the year. It can be that there are certain things that I enjoy doing and they're better suited to sometimes of the year. So for an example, an easy one for me would be cyanotype. I can make cyanotypes with a light box inside all year round, but I'm working in bigger pieces now, and so I can't fit that into the box. But also I just feel like that's not really my thing anymore. And now I really, if I can, I'd rather be outside in the sun. I feel like the cyanotype just works differently that way. Of course, chemically it's the same, but for me, things are quicker and so on. I can just see more easily. So I prefer the sun for that. Now, the same thing goes for indigo dyeing. So a few years ago, I took an online course. It was fantastic. And I learned how to do indigo dyeing. And so that for me is more of a summer thing, like late summer, early fall, because the vat itself likes to be nice and warm, and then I don't have to have it, on a heat thing or anything like that, on an element or anything like that. I can just have it out. So, and then of course there's, pressing flowers. Well, that's a good thing to do. Like but people can stuff for the fall or for winter. Well, it's kind of like that kind of an idea, is that you're taking flowers that, you love and you would like to use in all kinds of different ways, whether it's cyanotype or pressing them for other kinds of projects, scrapbooking or anything like that. And lots of uses actually for, I call them flat flowers. But anyway, there's lots of uses for those. And so, now's the time, in the summer is that time to do that, and spring. And to some extent fall, depending on what you're doing. So there are lots of things that kind of need that. Now, when I'm thinking more in terms of, knitting I do all year round because I can take my knitting anywhere. But my sewing tends to be more, generally speaking, more in the cooler months, although I have been known to get an extension cord and put myself outside on the deck and have a lovely afternoon of sewing with family members and stuff like that when we're doing projects. So that's quite possible, but it is a different kind of thing. So I would invite you to think about your projects that you love to do in kind of somewhat of a seasonal way. And they don't have to necessarily follow the natural seasons. They can be something quite different. But that's kind of what I would invite you to do for that. The second thing that I do is that I'm really consistent with myself. So, and this is not something that I started, like this is something that I've learned. So I have learned that if I tell myself, we're not doing that now, we're doing this next, and then we're doing this, or we're not going to be doing this project until this time. I always keep my promises to myself. And so if I have promised myself that we're coming back to a particular project, we will come back to that project. And so what that means is, it means that I can tell myself, not now, like it's, you don't have to do all the projects now. Don't forget, we're coming back to it later. So I can trust myself that we actually will come back to the project later. And then the third thing I have done is I have made, in the past, I have made an extensive list. And I did this actually more recently with my business, an extensive list. And I sat down of all the things that I'm doing. So whatever the creative things that I'm doing, I write it all down, and all of it. Make sure you're writing all down. Then I get out the calendar and I look at, well, when exactly do I have time to do these fun, creative things? And I start actually mapping it out on the calendar. And I can see this was an exercise that, because it was so powerful to me, I only had to do it once. Maybe I'll have to do it later, I don't know. But this one time it was really powerful, which was I started looking at, okay, so, to make this thing takes so much time. And sometimes there are projects in creativity, you actually don't know how much time it is. So you kind of need hours, if you're me and you're at my life stage, to give yourself a morning to go, you know what, this is what we're doing. We don't know how long it's going to take to write this thing. You're writing it for this purpose. So this is in my creative business. And you don't know how long it's going to take, because, ideas they kind of move around, and it's not just like productivity, boom, on the page. It's like sometimes you're thinking about something, or sometimes you have to go for a little walk, or it's not procrastination, actually. It's really letting it all sort of come forth, and then it hits the page. So that could take 2 hours, that could take 3 hours, that could take through lunch. So I did that. I put all of these things into a calendar, and then I realized, I don't actually have time for all of this stuff. But what it did was it showed me, give yourself a break. Give yourself some grace. You can't do all of these things. You actually can't, because you're not superhuman. You get tired. You have to, make meals and eat and, walk the dog and that kind of stuff. Although we don't do a ton of walk the dog, I have to say. But anyway, just because we've had some other knee issues and stuff. But you know what I'm saying is that there are all kinds of other responsibilities, of course, that you have, and you don't have just endless time. And actually, I think that's a good thing. Actually, I think that when you set yourself some time, or a specific time in the week. I did some wonderful free workshops in the last few months, and I met the most amazing people. And one of the people, and I'm just now forgetting her name, but she lives in Calgary, and she came on and she was talking about how every Thursday night was her painting night, like all through, the children's growing up, all through her very full-time, very full-on healthcare job in healthcare. Thursday nights was the night she painted. So everybody had to figure it out. And I think that's fantastic, because you're setting a boundary for yourself as well. You're saying, this is my focus time. This is when I get to do this thing. And it doesn't kind of wander off, or maybe you pick up your phone and you start scrolling. No, this is your chance. And so I actually think, in terms of if you're looking also for productivity in your creativity, that's another wonderful way to do that, is to actually set up a time. This is the time we're doing it. And everybody in your family knows. And you've set that boundary and stuck to it. So you've promised yourself. So you're holding yourself to that, but you're also having a chance to look forward to that time. Like she talked about how she really looked forward to that and what it gave her. And that's what I had said to her is, in healthcare, as in a lot of other helping professions, you're giving so much of yourself, and sometimes you're seeing really sad things and difficult things. And there are lots of things that as you walk alongside people, you're going to experience, just because you're human and you're a good human. And so that is a way to kind of not inoculate yourself from that, but like to help balance your experience of the world, of these, there's some really sad things, but you're going to leave that here, and now you're here. Now you're with you. Now you're with your paint, your canvas, whatever it is you're doing. And I think that that's so healthy. Actually, I think that's super, super healthy. And I did mention that to her at the time. The fourth thing that I have done is that I have let projects go. And I've done this for many years, actually. I am not going to be bound by, I bought a project, or I bought a course, or I got the wool for a thing. If I don't absolutely love it anymore, I'm not going to make it. And I don't think, I don't think you should be feeling guilty about that in any way, because in life, we only have so much time. And so I think that unless you are really excited about the thing that you're making, it shows through. Like, this is not a thing where you have to finish your vegetables on your plate before you have dessert. That's not creativity. So you don't have to finish everything that you've already gotten. You can pass that along. You could probably, if you haven't opened the package, or even if you have, I don't know, you could probably sell it. But to pass it along, to give it life, because it gets it out from blocking you in your creativity. And that is so important. And the other thing that I want to say about that is that if the materials that you're using, if you're a tactile person like me, if you're using wool that you don't love, or if you're making a project that you are not inspired to make, and yes, there might be difficulties in a project, that's getting through that. But this is like, you know what, even when I finish this, I don't think I'm going to wear this sweater. That is not a project for you. The project for you should be that you are excited when you have a chance to sit down to make the thing. That feeling that wool in your hands, whether you're finished the project or not, is a wonderful experience, because that is the experience. It is the journey that's that experience, and that is your experience of that sweater, and that's what you're knitting into it, right? All of those memories of where you sat, what conversations you had, you had maybe, like for some of the things I actually, in the greenhouse behind you, or the hoop house behind you, I actually, as I'm planting out different beds, I'll remember the podcasts that I was listening to. It's kind of like being, remembering places by the music that you were listening to. I remember doing that when I was 18 and I went across Canada by myself on the train, and I turned 19 in Charlottetown. And anyway, I was 2 months on this trip by myself. And in those days, I just had a little Walkman. And because I was carrying everything, of course, I just had 2 cassette tapes with my favorite songs on them, and I just listened to them over and over again. So as I hear certain songs, I remember going on the train past the certain buildings in Saskatchewan, for example. There's a certain song, and every time I see silos like that, I think of that song and I remember that moment. So yeah, so when you're making things, you're also making memories, because that's it. You're making meaning. You're making a life here that's joyful and hopefully happy and wonderful. And maybe you're making a gift for somebody, and so you want all of that love to get poured into that. And you can't do that if you're not excited about it in a really genuine way. And the last thing is that I've just noted it. Yes. Oh, that was my last thing. Was being honest with myself. If I don't like something, if I really actually don't like it, just give yourself grace. Because even if you've bought the thing, even if you've paid for the thing, even if you paid full price, it wasn't on sale, who cares? If you don't love it, don't make it. Because the whole idea is that you have a chance to make things in this life that you feel good about, that you are excited about, that you are interested in, enchanted by, where it leaves you with a sense of wonder, whatever it is. But that is all about why you do the things that you do in your creativity. And so please don't let some of these obstacles get in your way of your own creativity, and don't let the overwhelm of having too many things or not the right things get in the way. Start clearing so that you have a chance to sit down when you have a moment and make something that you are truly excited about. So on that, I want to share actually a bouquet that I wasn't sure if I would be excited about. So I have a new client who I do custom bouquets and custom arrangements, and this is for a wonderful woman who I met recently, who is a realtor here in town, and she's absolutely wonderful. She's a creative. I'm going to be talking about her in an upcoming episode, and the things that she makes, because I want to share it separately, because it's so special. But anyway, and so she there was a deal that closed in her realty business, and so she wants to give something to the person who for their new home, and would I make the bouquet? So I made this one here, and it's in a square vase, and has so much in it, and I wasn't sure if I was going to love the colors, but actually I do. I think they're really fun, and this person, the client, really likes blue and purples, so that's why it's blue and purples, and these yellows, just because like these ranunculus, I mean, are they not just the best? I just think that the color is so unique and interesting. So that's what I made, and had fun making it once I'd kind of figured out what I was doing. And I look forward to making that another one like this when the time comes for her to come and pick it up, so it's all nice and fresh and everything. So I hope that you have a wonderful day. I hope that there is something that you are going to sit down with at the end of the day that you are truly inspired and excited to make, or to write about, or whatever it is, but that your creativity is fueled by really joy and not obligation. This is not an eat your vegetables before you have dessert. This is not that. You get to decide what you're going to make, and you get to edit, and it's okay, and you don't have to explain that to anybody. It's whatever you're feeling now, and that's completely valid and really important, actually, that you listen to that, because that is that creative voice coming out and saying, oh, I want to play with this thing. So that's where that interest comes in your creative work. So I hope you have a wonderful day. I wish you peace on your path, and thank you for watching. And if you are interested in seeing more of these videos, please like and subscribe, and I would love it if you would comment. And maybe you want to tell us about something that you are letting go of, so that you are not going to be overwhelmed, or maybe in your creativity, or maybe there's something here that you wanted to comment on that you found helpful. I would love to know. Thank you so much for commenting.